everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be making something that is super easy to put together. If you are someone who says, oh, I am a terrible cook or I can't bake to save my life, this is what you want to make. Tiramisu, you just have to know how to assemble. Other than make like a pot of coffee, it's really easy to put together. Traditionally, you do use eggs in the as part of the ingredients, as well as rum. However, I don't use eggs. I don't like to consume raw eggs, so I leave that out. And then as for the rum, I really am not a fan, so that's not something that I have in my liquor cabinet. Actually, my liquor cabinet is very sparse right now. So I'm going to be making an almond cocoa tiramisu. So I have some heavy whipping cream that I will be beating, as well as mascarpone cheese, and then I have a little bit of powdered sugar as well as some almond extract. I have brewed some espresso, but the inside of my mug is black, so you can't really see it very well. And to that I will be adding in some amaretto. And then for the top, I will be using cocoa powder. And then of course I have my lady fingers. I use imported mascarpone cheese, and I've always used that when I'm making tiramisu. However, you can find domestic and that's fine. Just whatever you do, do not use cream cheese. Cream cheese tends to be a little more on the grainy side, and you know, a lot of people will say, oh, you can't tell. I can tell. So again, cream cheese for a different purpose, and for this you do want to use mascarpone, either imported or domestic. That up to you. Okay, so a couple of notes. Now, the lady fingers, you're going to want to get the crispy kind. These tend to have a layer of sugar on them already, so you know, this is not meant to be, again, an overly sweet dessert, but it's meant to be a little bit bitter from the coffee and a little bit sweet from the cream and the cheese, but it's not meant to be overly sweet. Now, as far as the cocoa, I normally use an Italian cocoa powder, but it was kind of difficult for me to go out of my way today to find it, and sometimes I can't find it. But so I settled for the Hershey's Special Dark Cocoa. This is a Dutch processed cocoa, and this is going to be for the top. And then for my liquor, I am using the Saronno Amaretto, and there is no substitution for me for this. So if I'm going for almond, this is what I'm using. Do not use some Amaretto schnapps. It is not the same thing. Now, the reason that I'm making this is because I am going to be taking this to a dinner party, and I'm going to be preparing something else as well for this gathering. But the nice thing about making a tiramisu is that you can do this in advance, at least a day in advance, so it has time to kind of sit and marinate and get really good. So typically when I prepare a batch, I do use a kind of a large dish, but because I'm taking this somewhere, and normally I do prepare things, you know, for potlucks and such in actual dishes and plates, but I don't want to have to worry about taking something home with me. So just in case there were any leftovers, I'm using a loaf pan, but you know, you can use what you have. So this is going to be a little bit smaller than what I usually prepare. If I have any like leftover filling or cookie, the cookies can stay on the side, but if I have extra filling, then I may just make like a little personal one to keep home. A couple of things that you want to do first. To my coffee, I've already added a couple of tablespoons of amaretto, and now I just kind of want to loosen up the mascarpone, because you know, it is in a tub and you want the filling to be rather light and airy and delicious. So I'm basically going to put this in a bowl and then kind of whip through it to add some air and just to kind of break up this one piece. So basically, you know, mash it, whatever you have to do. And this will also help get it to room temperature, because when you fold in your whipped cream, you know, you don't want to be stirring it forever and ever. And then I'm going to be whipping my cream. So what I've done with the whisk and the glass bowl, so to speak, I went ahead and put this in the freezer because this will make whipping the cream easier. And I'm going to put in no more than a cup. And then I will get this started. I can't film it. First of all, it would be too loud. And secondly, I don't have an outlet here on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will be back. Now, as I was beating my cream, I started the beater first, and then after a little while, when it started to get going, I did add the powdered sugar as well as the almond extract. So now what I want to do, I want to take a little bit to my cheese, and then I want to, again, lighten this up a little bit more. And this will make it so when I fold in the rest, it will be lighter. I never have the right size bowl, but you know, I will, just not right now. Okay, and then you are going to add, let's put that in here. You're gonna continue adding your whipped cream, and you're gonna fold it in. I'm gonna do this in 2 parts. And I might need to actually beat a little more. It's just I don't have a big enough bowl. They're either like too big or too small, but and if it's not completely incorporated, if you see streaks of the whipped cream, that's fine. Okay. And then it's time to assemble. The other thing you want to check, whatever you're using, you kind of want to figure out how you're going to put in or lay in the cookies. So this is pretty easy. I mean, obviously, like the width of the loaf pan is the height of the cookie, or the length of the cookie. So I don't have to cut any cookies, but if you need to, go ahead, so you can like fill in little crevices that maybe, you know, they would be empty. You don't want that. The other thing is you are going to be alternating. So, you know, like one layer will go one way, the other layer will go the other way, so on and so forth. And you can also kind of figure out the height. This is probably going to be, well, with the cheese, 2 layers for sure. I'm not really 100% sure on a 3rd layer, but I will find out. Okay, so my coffee and amaretto I've let cool. Now, the idea is you want to dip the cookie in and then lay it right away. Don't let your cookie drown in the coffee. It will disintegrate really quickly. So again, just like dip really quick. If you need to dip the other side, and lay it down. I'm not putting anything on the bottom. This is going to be my bottom layer. So I am going to go ahead and fill the first layer, and then I'll come back with the cream. Now, in case you do need to trim the cookie, because they are kind of crunchy and, you know, you want to use a serrated knife, so the one with the teeth, and be kind of gentle and kind of saw it to cut it so you get an actual like clean slice, and then you can use it. I was a little short towards the end, so I had to go ahead and do that. Now I want to put in a layer of the cream and cheese. If you have an offset spatula, this part is a little bit easier actually, but if not, it's fine. I'm missing mine. So go ahead and spread it evenly and go ahead and reach the ends. And remember, you want to have enough to do a second and possibly a third layer. So just, you don't want a really thick nor a really thin layer. So just kind of gauge how much you have. I will have measurements down below. However, you may need to adjust depending on what type of a dish that you're using. And then after you have that, you'll start over. So my first layer went across this way. So now I want to go ahead and lay them the opposite way. The other thing is, if you run out of coffee, just make some more. I normally find that I do have to use maybe, I don't know, maybe close to 3 cups of liquid. It kind of depends, but I always like make a pot of coffee and I need to make a second one. And then as you can tell, you know, like this part is obviously going to be a little short, so I will be cutting some more cookies. So just in half will be enough. I do want to show you my second layer and the end where I did have to cut the cookies. What I normally do, just to prevent some gaps, I do like fit the cookie in. So here I went kind of like end to end, where normally, you know, if I'm just putting the whole cookie in, I don't do that obviously, but if I see that it would fit better, I do. And then we're gonna go ahead and do our second layer of the mascarpone and cream. And just same thing as before, spread it fairly evenly and reach the ends. And then our last layer. So again, I'm gonna go across. And now it widens at the top, so I will also be cutting some cookies again to like on the thinner side, and then just fitting them in where I can. The other thing, as you get towards the end and the level of your liquid goes down in the cup, just tilt it so that it'll be easier to dip your cookie. I know that it gets a little bit difficult, but just, you know, try your best, and it'll be fine. Then the last layer of your cream. I don't have enough of the cream and cheese filling to do a fourth layer. Otherwise I could have. Okay, so I just cleaned up the sides a little bit. Now you're gonna put your cocoa. Now is gonna be the cocoa on the top, and I'm gonna get a little sieve because this is the easiest way to do it. And basically, and actually it's best to do this over the sink, but whatever you prefer. You want to do a pretty solid layer of the cocoa. And then I went ahead and finished sifting the cocoa over the sink just because I didn't want it to get everywhere. I will go ahead and try to clean up the perimeter of this just because I normally do. And this is your tiramisu with Amaretto and cocoa. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover this and keep it in the fridge. Like I mentioned, you know, you can do this at least a day in advance, even 2 days is fine. Really easy to put together. So just consider the audience, you know, who's going to be around to enjoy this. If there's a lot of kids and you feel it's not appropriate, then obviously go make cupcakes. But, you know, if this is more of an adult gathering, or you just want to make some to have home, if you're having people over, you know, it's your choice. Sadly, I cannot test this for quality control right now because it's not ready and I don't want to push it. But, you know, I'm sure this will be pretty fantastic. I mean, every time I've made tiramisu, and I have made it like, I don't want to say traditional because it doesn't have the egg. I never make it with egg. Now, to serve this, you can go ahead and cut it and then scoop it out, or just scoop it out, and then I would just put some berries on top. Strawberries or raspberries would probably be best. I basically started this because I had some mascarpone cheese in the fridge. It wasn't a full tub, you know, and you can always make a little bit more whipped cream, and that will, you know, like if you were doing a bigger plate of it or a dish of it. So there is some room for adjustment because I normally finish most of the ladyfinger package also, and I did not this time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and this recipe. I will have some details in the description box as far as some loose measurements. However, please adjust to, you know, how much you want to make. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.